it was pretty bold and ambitious for them to come out with Scream 6 a year after they came out with Scream 5. Literally, it comes out in, I think, March 2023, and Scream 5 came out in January 2022. The only shorter time frame of that, I think, was the first or the second movie, which actually came out less than a year apart. But if you know anything about movies, that's wild. That's like within a year of production, marketing, spinning everything up. It usually leads to a pretty crappy movie. Scream 2 wasn't crappy. And Scream 6, I actually really like this one. I, for some reason, thought I didn't like this. I think it's because of a couple parts at the end. They don't really stick the landing for me. But, damn, this movie is good. I'm Alex from Sandro Says, and I'm here to talk about Scream 6, or Scree 6. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new here, and comment if you have any thoughts about Scream 6 that I didn't cover. All right. This opening, it kind of harkens back to the first movie, where you have a super known actress. Samara Weaving is kind of a queen of horror at the moment, and bringing her in with, the accent and everything, and it's the blind date. It's a phone call situation. They actually flash the phone at the way beginning, but it's not them. It's the concierge. It's not the concierge. It's the hostess. It's a really good scene. There's a good build up. The only thing I hold against this scene, there's no real terror on her. She doesn't really know that she's in danger until the last 2 seconds of someone coming at her with a knife. So it doesn't do that well. But I really like the unknown aspect of it. It's a guy that kills her and immediately takes off his mask and reveals himself to us. It's like, who is this guy? And then as he's walking home, it's like, he's friends with Tara. So let me go. I'll go through the plot real quick, and then we'll dive into what I really liked and didn't like about this movie. So it starts off with, like I said, an amazing opening scene. We have a Ghostface killer. We have a Ghostface who immediately unmasks himself and is friends with our protagonist from the previous movie. He sees her on the street. They're in New York City now. The movie has changed from Woodsboro to New York City, where our protagonists are going to college. Very similar to Scream 2, where they went from Woodsboro to, I'm going blank for the name of the college. But anyway, so this person, this new Ghostface killer, perhaps, the new, we're like, wow, they revealed the killer this early in the movie? That's pretty wild. He goes back to his apartment. He's looking for his roommate, who he wants to celebrate the kill with, because apparently they've been planning on finishing Richie's kills. Richie, Jack Quaid from the previous movie. I wasn't sure if they were his friends at first, but apparently they're just fans online, and they want to finish the idea and finish killing these sisters, I guess. So this was a warm-up kill because this woman was the guy's teacher, and she gave him a C- on some paper he wrote. So it's like, all right, so now we're devolving the killers down to killing teachers because of giving them a bad grade on a paper. But it's revealed these guys aren't the killers. The real killers of the movie are now stalking this guy, messing with him. His roommate's already killed, and his roommate was not only killed, but dismembered and put into the fridge, which is like, whoa, all right, we're starting off with this. That's pretty wild. Even the first kill with Samara Weaving was pretty gory for the series. And then this guy gets killed. And it's revealed like, no, we don't care about movies anymore. This is something way different. And off the bat, it's like, okay, so this movie has started off with a new type of misdirection. Whereas in Scream 4, it was like, let's just do 3 silly starts in a row. This one's like, we did a start that could be realistic, and is this the way we're going? I mean, I guess so. Let's roll with it. And then all of a sudden, it's something else. And the something else isn't even something we've seen before. It's kind of different. So we go from there. We're reintroduced to Sam Carpenter, the older of the sisters, played by Melissa Barrera. She is meeting with her psychologist or some type of therapist. Basically, she's discussing how she's, dealing with trauma from the issues, and how her sister is not dealing with trauma from what happened a year ago. Only a year has passed from these, the events of Scream 5. Even though they moved into a new city, they both enrolled in college, or at least Tara's in college. I don't think Sam is. I'm sorry, but either way, so the psychologist is like, whoa, you have all these weird, feelings about, enjoying the kill and stuff. She says that she enjoyed killing Richie, or it felt right or something like that. So, okay, so already she's having some darkness from the previous movie. She goes out and she tries to find her sister. Her sister seems to be going in the complete opposite direction, kind of like Laurie Strode in Halloween 2 from 2009, the Rob Zombie Halloween 2, where after the trauma, she just decides to become a party girl and try to drown her sorrows in alcohol and whatever. She's still hanging out with Mindy and Chad, the Meeks twins from the previous movie, and they've added a couple new friends to their group. Mindy has a girlfriend, And then Chad has a new roommate who's this kind of nerdy kid. And I guess also Tara and Sam have a new roommate who is a redheaded girl whose name I forget off the top of my head, Quinn. So, and Quinn's dad is a cop. So this all comes in important. Anyway, at the party, there's a scuffle because some, basically a date rapist is trying to take advantage of Tara because she's drunk. Sam shows up, starts a fight. They now have a fight because of like, hey, you got to stop being a helicopter sister. I need to live my life. And then Sam is like, well, you need to actually face what happened and deal with it and come to some kind of, growth about it. And it's an interesting plot point, and they completely abandon it. Like, you think this movie is going to have some good strokes about these two and how Sam has to grow up and let Tara be her own woman and stuff. And you don't see that. That really it starts with that. And then the last 3/4 of this movie, they are attached at the hip. And neither of them seems to have a problem with that. So, anyway, as they are now leaving this party and they're fighting in the street, apparently there's been a murder. And they find, not apparently, the murder that happened to start the movie is being reported. And the weird thing is, Sam's ID is at the scene. So they can't even leave. She originally wants to leave town because of the issue. She can't leave town now because she's a suspect. So that's a little weird. The person on the scene at the homicide case or whatever, at the crime scene is the dad of their roommate, Quinn. So the dad's name is Detective Bailey, and then it's Quinn Bailey. So now it starts this thing of they have to go to the police station to get questioned. On their way to the police station is one of the best scenes in the movie, possibly in the series, where Ghostface is now out and about. He's not just stalking, one person. He's like, they go into a bodega to escape him, and it's a massacre. It's tense. These two women kind of have plot armor, but it's just a really tense scene, especially with all the lights and stuff and the broken items from a bodega. It resonates at home, and it's super scary. So I give them a lot of credit for this scene. After this, Ghostface gets, subdued or they escape, whatever. They go down to the police station. They're getting questioned. Nothing really comes of this except, oh, hey, remember Kirby from the 4th movie? She survived, and now she's in the FBI. And for some reason, her hair looks like a wig. Like I don't know what that was, or if she's CGI. Something about Kirby looks very different. I don't know what's going on in this movie. Not just different in general, just like specifically in this movie. She looks different than everyone else in this movie. I don't get it. So, okay, trying to remember what happens after the police station. Oh, so now all the kids, all the protagonists are trying to decide who the new killer might be, who's a risk, who's not a risk. Mindy is doing her thing again, which we'll get into. And they end up, they're all basically staying in one apartment to stay safe. And what happens here is Quinn gets killed, and basically Ghostface is attacking the other people. Mindy's girlfriend gets killed at this scene too, so now we've lost 2 of the main people in one scene. They're pointing fingers at the curly-haired guy who is Chad's roommate because he wasn't there, and he's like, I was in econ class and stuff. So, more of the whodunit, especially because right now there's a great whodunit because Sam herself is kind of the main suspect, even though we know she's not the killer, because the internet and all the public opinion has turned against her. People have decided that Richie was innocent and Sam is actually the killer from the previous movie. So that's made her kind of a pariah. Like, she walks out in public and people think that she's a murderer. So that's added an interesting layer to this movie where some crazy person from the internet could, be radicalized and say, I want to take out this person that's a murderer. I want to save the day. So after this, the team after the murder of Quinn, Detective Bailey is, distraught. The team kind of goes rogue now, and they're like, we're going to set up a sting operation to trap the killer. The sting operation backfires, and Gale Weathers, who we'd seen briefly in this movie, she shows up a couple times, but again, she's on the outs with the protagonists, much like she is in previous movies, because she wrote a book, and it doesn't really paint people in the best light. So Gale, anyway, she's attacked in one of the better scenes in the movie. That leads to the ending of the movie now, where Gale had, in one of her previous scenes, had shown off this shrine to Ghostface that she discovered. I don't know how the records of purchasing it or something. I guess they put it in the kid's name who did the murder at the beginning of the movie. So it led them to that trail. But basically, it's just a museum of all the Ghostface artifacts from previous killings. Not the stab movies, but the actual killings, which is crazy. That stuff should all be locked up. But anyway, that's going to be the scene for our finale. So I forget exactly how the kids get separated from this point, but for some reason, all the protagonists are together in this crime scene. They get separated. I forget why. I think maybe they go to a hospital, if I'm recalling. Gail's at the hospital. I don't know. It doesn't matter. At one point, Mindy's on the train, and then she gets stabbed, so you don't know if she's going to survive. All the other kids get to the place where Kirby has set up a trap in the Ghostface lair, and on the way inside, basically all of a sudden Ghostface is there. Ghostface attacks people. Chad gets completely mauled. The ending is wild. You don't know if Kirby's the killer. You don't know if there's some other secret killer. Then it's revealed there's multiple killers, and I'll go into the ending right here, because I know I've been a little scant with this movie or a little scatterbrained with this movie, because if you've seen it, you know what I'm going through. It's an exciting attack on these people. You have some great confusion on who Ghostface might be, and then for the reveal, it's a pretty awesome reveal, but it's also pretty not awesome. Basically, Ghostface, there's 3 of them in this movie, or at least 2, and then there's one helping them. Detective Bailey is one of the killers, as is his daughter Quinn, who didn't die. She was fake killed, or she faked her death, and he put a body in her place because he's a cop and he can do that. I don't know. The whole thing's a little weird. And then the curly-haired guy, that's Chad's roommate, was also revealed to be a killer. Why are these 3 random people killers? Well, because they're Richie's family from the previous movie, and they want to get back at the people who hurt Richie. As far as it being a similar reveal to Richie's in the 5th movie, whereas Richie was able to infiltrate Sam's life for 6 months and, completely surprise her, these people have all done so much crazy stuff. Like, the one girl, Quinn, infiltrated her life as a roommate as soon as she moved to New York. The dad was able to move to a completely new police precinct and get a pretty high up position and change his background, because when you're a cop, they have records about you. And when you try to transfer, they don't just lose those records. So his record said he had one kid who was murdered, and then he has another boy and another girl. He moves to New York. Oh, no, I only have one daughter. Okay, that doesn't make sense immediately. And the kid comes up with a new identity within a couple months. They're tracking these people. Everything happens so fast, especially if you believe that they've only been in New York for 6 months. It takes the coolness of the previous movie, and it's like, you know what Richie did? Now we did it 3 times and in even more unbelievable ways. And I don't like that. Other than that, it's a pretty awesome fight at the end. You see why these people would be out for revenge. You see why they're so mad. They play it well. They all have kind of like a mad dog attitude to them. They're all like, snarling at the Carpenter Sisters, and they beat the crap out of each other for the ending. So that's phenomenal. So, all right, now that I've roughly covered the plot of the movie, let's go through what I loved and didn't like about this movie, scene by scene, or roughly scene by scene. The Samara Weaving scene, like I said, it was great, except there was no real terror for her. She didn't know that she was in danger until someone with a knife was actually charging her. So, not that great. I get that what they were going for. They're like, hey, this is going to be our Drew Barrymore. This is going to be our surprise kill at the beginning of the movie. However, we're now 6 movies in. Is the surprise kill really a surprise kill anymore? I don't think so. But I did like the misdirection of revealing the killer immediately and then them not being the killer. So, the hot and cold game was really creepy. The reveal of the roommate, you knew something was messed up, but I don't know if we all expected, a mutilated body in the fridge. That's wild. I really have to say I like the legacy masks. Apparently these all had to be recreated because the original ones were destroyed or deteriorated, something like that. So all these masks that they count backwards from of who used what, they look great. I also have to say that the cinematography in this movie, the way they shot the movie, all the shadows, like for instance, the scene where Sam is talking to her therapist, it's just everything in this movie is really eerie and dark and unsettling. Like it feels, obviously except for the daytime scenes, it just feels like it feels off. There's something creepy about it, which I like. So great job there. Sam taking the fall in the public eye is really believable. And especially, she can't really fix it. It's not like she can say, no, this guy was really going to kill me. Like, I don't know what defense there is, especially once she stabs the person 22 times or whatever. Like, that's that is kind of overkill. That's also alluded to why Detective Bailey kind of went off the deep end when he saw the body, and he said, well, I saw what you did to him. Like, it's not just she stabbed him once. Like, she really went to town on him. So that's another aspect of her trying to fix this. The redheaded roommate, Quinn, she's really likable and believable. It's like, hey, just wanted to let you know your sister did this. Sorry, but I let her go. In retrospect, when you watch the movies and you know who the killers are, you can see the things. But in this one where they literally kill the girl, it's like you don't see her coming as one of the suspects at all. Maybe the creepy kid, but even the creepy kid that's roommates with Chad, the curly-haired guy, he sees Mindy get stabbed, or not sees, but he's on the train when it happens. It's like, and he reacts to it. So that's another way to really kind of push them both out. The only one who really kind of has fingers pointed to them the whole movie, even though he has the grieving father aspect, is the detective, because constantly they're mentioning how these things should be in evidence and they're not. And just that's weird to me. It's like, doesn't that kind of point fingers at the main cop in the room right now, that these things should be locked up and they're not? So I don't know. Like I said earlier, being that everyone basically on the internet thinks that Samantha is the killer means that any internet loon could show up and try to kill her, to be like, hey, I'm the vigilante that took out the Scream person, which is nuts to me. So I don't like exactly how Samantha and Tara get the bodega man killed. He was so nice trying to help them and say, get out the back door. And then they're like, well, we need keys. And that's when he meets his demise. It's like, just hide at that point, get behind him, do something, team up. He has the shotgun. You can all be friends together here, get knives and stuff. So that was kind of sad to me, but funny. Not funny, but just, but ironic how it happens. So I do think it was a great tense scene. It's the most tense scene possibly in the series since Scream 2, because at this point, even though they have plot armor, you don't know if maybe Sam is going to get killed, or maybe Tara will, and then they'll blame Sam even more. I don't know. Like, at this point in the theater, when I was watching it, you really do think that they both are in danger. Once you've seen it, they're not. But plot armor doesn't really seem to be a thing when you're in the moment. So I will give them credit for that. Then I see, that they're in the police station being questioned, and the cops have the two girls at a table where they have a picture of the mutilated guy inside the fridge. Like, what? Would they really do that? They just left the room, and they come back, and those pictures are out. Like, those girls are staring at this. Did they want the picture? Did they ask for it? That part it really made me question what this police station was doing. So, I do enjoy their sister dynamic. I think it's really believable. I mean, the parts of the family aspect with Billy, causing strife, and is my sister going to turn into Billy, I don't like. But the helicopter sister, the caring too much, we need to deal with this grief thing. I think that both these actresses did a phenomenal job, as usual, both on their own and together in this movie, acting as sisters. So I still don't understand how Detective Bailey, like, I have notes in here crazy about, I don't understand how Detective Bailey infiltrated a police department with a murdered son that was involved in the Scream. Like, you can't just wipe that under the bridge. Like, it's just, I sweep that under the rug. I don't wipe that under the bridge. Where'd I come up with that? So you can't just sweep that under the rug and be like, well, I'm a new person now. Was it because his last name was Bailey and Richie's was Kirsch? Like, I don't know. You tell me. And how has Gail still not learned her lesson about, when you write this book, maybe don't talk trash about the people who are still alive and, are going to see you again, and you need to be friends with the next movie to ask them more questions? Because it's like, this is the 6th movie, Gail, and you've been in all of them. Like, congratulations, you're getting pretty high up there in the horror sphere. But what the hell? You're better than this, dude. And I love how they have the quote about Sydney deserves her happy ending. It was like, well, Sydney deserves her happy ending mostly because they didn't want to pay her to be in this movie. Although, ironically, the movie works. They finally achieved it where the movie works fine without Sydney being in it. You don't need Sydney Prescott. I love Sydney Prescott. I wish every movie involved her, but you don't need her in this movie. It really worked fine without her. To be honest, you didn't need Gail either. You could have included someone else. You could have created a new character to be the Gail surrogate. It's cool having her back, but it's interesting how this movie finally established some new people that we care about, and we don't need the old ones. They killed off Dewey, so he's not an option anymore. But I gotta applaud them for that. I really enjoyed it. And I like how, again, why the cop is number one on the suspect list. She goes from telling him that the psychologist is her alibi to the next scene, the psychologist getting killed, and they don't say, well, who's the only person that she told that it was going to be the alibi? Like, come on, man. I don't like, there's another, they do another scene with Mindy, being like Randy, and it's a little Broadway, but it is cool how she calls out certain people and stuff. I do give her credit for this. It's not quite as Broadway as the first one, so, hey, at least we're improving. Maybe in the next movie, if they force us to sit through a Mindy explaining things scene, it will be, it won't make me vomit in my mouth, but we'll see. Next week, got tickets a week from today. I still don't understand why Kirby looks like CGI. Every time I see her hair, it's just, is it a bad wig? What's going on here? This is an extremely bloody movie. Like, they do the fake out with Quinn getting killed, but this movie does not hold anything back with the gore, with the blood. These rooms of, like, as they're walking through the apartment, these rooms are just covered. like just bloody handprints and smeared. It's crazy. So I give them credit for that again. Like, they went for it. And I feel like this is the movie in the series that went for it the most. At least so far. We haven't seen next week yet. But I don't know how the cop can fake a dead body like that. Like, oh, let me switch out my daughter's dead body for another dead body I conveniently had that matches her description. Like, forensics looks at this shit. They don't just say, oh, it's a blonde 5'2" and it's supposed to be a redhead 5'5". Like, I don't know. Maybe he killed another redhead. Maybe he had a redhead at the morgue. It's like they make it seem like you're an omnipotent cop, but this also isn't, middle of nowhere. This is New York City, where there's cameras everywhere. There's a million cops. At least when I lived there, there was a lot of cops everywhere. And when you go into the morgue, it's not like you just have the place to yourself. Like, something about it, it's just they wipe some of this stuff over. Like, he's magical. He was able to do this. It's silly. So Mindy's girlfriend really gets put through the ringer. Not only does she get stabbed, and it looks like that's bad enough to kill her, and it probably was, but then when she's on the stupid, cross alleyway ladder walk, and Ghostface knocks her off, and not only does she fall to her death, she gets her head smashed on the garbage can, which was probably disgusting. And just, oh my God, the whole thing is just yeesh. But again, this movie goes for it, and it's got some cool new scenes, and I appreciate it. The new terror of seeing that happen. Like, they're all watching this happen, and then Ghostface just gives up and says, okay, you guys, I got her later. I do wonder why Gail, like, I get that Gail tells the cops about the crime scene, and maybe she feels like telling the Carpenter Sisters, but for the cops to be like, hey, let's go, gang. It's like Scooby-Doo gang going to a crime scene and looking at all the evidence that should be in lockup. And that place should have immediately been swarmed by other cops to have everything locked up. So I don't understand the idea that they're like, let's make this a field trip and look around like it's the science museum. It was silly to me. So, like, they say that, and they're like, well, I guess some cops, they like money more than they like honesty. It's like, I mean, I know he has like a fake dead kid at this point, but like, that only gives you so much leeway, dude. Like, there's got to be something here. Like, you got to be calling in other cops at this point. There's more Ghost Billy family drama. Don't care about it. We moved on from Billy last movie. We know that he's had an effect on her by that she enjoyed the killing. You don't need to keep seeing him in flashbacks, so I wish they didn't do it. Hopefully they stop doing it for 7, which would be ironic if Stu is back, but Billy isn't, but whatever. And wouldn't the FBI know if Stu is dead or not? Like, when Kirby and Mindy sit down and they're joking about it, oh, this the TV that killed Stu Macher. Well, if you believe that, it's like the FBI would know, wouldn't they? Unless my previous theory is correct, and when Stu was arrested or put away in an insane asylum or whatever, they gave him a new identity because he would have been famous among the inmates. They would have known him as like the Scream guy. Otherwise, he's just John Doe, and he could tell people he's the Scream guy, but people might or might not believe him. Whereas at the time, Stu Macher's name was all over TV and movies and stuff. So then again, maybe his picture would have been shown. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm getting way too deep into my theories about Scream 7. So we'll do that next week's video. It's a little weird that, the FBI is getting kids involved in this sting operation, to the fact that the FBI has these, like these high school or these college kids in the van with them when they're doing this sting. It's like, this is really irresponsible. And it's like, they've been saying that one of these kids might be a suspect or is possibly the killer. Why involve? Maybe keep your enemies close. I don't get that, but it just seemed off to me. Um, Detective Bailey lets the two Carpenter sisters take his car way too easily. Now, at first, he's like, "No, we can't help Gail. It's probably just a fake out or something." If he's a real cop, which he at least supposedly is a cop, he should be able to get on his radio and have backup at Gail's apartment within like 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 at the worst. These girls are going to like drive uptown, and the point that it's like broad daylight when they leave and it's pitch black when they get there. So it took them like a half hour to hour at the best, because I lived in New York. I don't know exactly where they were in Central Park, but it's like, something seemed off about that. The fact that it went from broad daylight to bam, it's completely nighttime. It's like, how long did it take them to get there? So, but either way, it's another thing where it's like, he's a cop and he's not using his cop powers for things they should be used for. So that's kind of sketchy, isn't it? No offense. We see Gail here is with her new boyfriend. I guess she replaced Dewey within, a year of him dying, although she might have been dating this guy even before that. But it's a faceless guy. They shoot it really interestingly, how they keep showing him, and he's a muscular big guy, but that they don't really show his face. I guess they didn't want to pay an actor for it. But who in their right mind would date Gail Weathers at this point? Like, she has a target on her back and has been stabbed like a ton of times, and everyone near her gets killed. Either her cameraman get killed or Dewey gets stabbed. Why are you dating her, dude? Are you that interested in her current events, stuff, like the stuff she does on TV? I don't know. So I do think that it's an amazing call that Gail gets, and the fact that the guy gets killed in the background and Gail is being talked to and kind of interviews Ghostface. It actually does have some scares, because the person is in the apartment with her. It brings it back to the first movie where it's like, oh crap, this person's in there. She doesn't know they're in there, but they're in there. She doesn't know she's necessarily in danger until she sees the body fly. It's pretty badass. So overall, it's a great scene, and it could have been where they killed off Gail. You didn't even know for sure if that was going to happen after they killed off Dewey. So again, it's like there's some real stakes here, which is pretty cool, which you don't see a lot in art movies, especially with a legacy character. So I also thought the train sequence was pretty badass, but as a former New Yorker, or as I grew up in New York and I lived there through my 30s, I can't imagine that New Yorkers as a whole would allow someone with a serial killer mask that is actively killing people in the town to wear that mask out as a Halloween costume. That seems like something that people would be like, dude, like, no. And if you try to get on a train, people would be talking shit to you and like screaming at you, like, why are you wearing... Like, I've seen it happen where people just start fights over nothing. So that is not something that would fly. I don't care if it's one person or 10 people. I did like how it was shot. It almost seemed like Mindy was hallucinating at the time. But yeah, the chaos of it, the fact that there's so many people but no one can help. It was kind of like the opening from Scream 2. Overall, pretty awesome scene. And it really, again, it throws a red herring as far as the curly-haired guy not being a killer, because he's there and he doesn't necessarily see it happen, but he tries to react and help and stuff. So, and then even Mindy after it says, well, I was wrong again, which is funny because she wasn't wrong. And then there's a phenomenal ending at the theater. They go back to the theater, like I said, where Kirby has set up the traps for Ghostface. And I think that there's a great scene. It's basically Chad, Tara, and Sam at the beginning. And all of a sudden, Ghostface shows up, and they're having a great fight against him. It's one of the best fights in the series, the three of them evading the Ghostface. The only problem is then Chad gets killed deader than anyone in the series has been dead before. Like, he gets killed of Randy times, Stu time this time. Like, he's dead. Like, there's no coming back from that. And then they don't have the balls to actually kill him off. They bring him back at the last second of the movie. Which is unfortunate. But at that point, it's confirmed there's two ghost faces, just like always, because they're both just stabbing the crap out of him. Now it's the Carpenter sisters trying to evade. At the last second, Kirby shows up, and she was apparently stabbed or beat up herself by a ghost face. And it's Kirby versus Detective Bailey saying, yeah, they're the liar. And you find out, of course, it's Detective Bailey's lying. Like I said, it's his kids that are the killers. And this fight is just wild, because as the fight's going on, you see Richie's home movies of his home Scream productions, like things he made growing up in the background. And, Detective Bailey has this kind of crazed, maniacal look to him because he's talking about his kid and how much he loves his kid, and they really love their brother. So it's great. I think it's a great fight. Everything really has some good stakes. They're climbing around this stage set. It really reminds me again of Scream 2. There's so many parallels to Scream 2. It's probably, obviously this is done on purpose, but it's just that they did it well. And every kill is like, man, they really beat the crap out of this person. Like, Tara sacrifices herself to get stabbed, not to death, but stabbed in the stomach just so she can stab the other guy right through the mouth. Quinn gets shot in the head. Detective Bailey ends up getting a Ghostface call of his own, and they torment him, which is great. So overall, the ending, I love the ending from an action and from a horror ending standpoint. What I don't love is that they kind of redid the Richie reveal from the previous year, where it's like revenge is a great aspect. I think that's awesome. But how each of these person infiltrated their lives so intricately, it's a little too Mission Impossible. It's a little too, CIA operative for me. Other than that, I really like this movie. I thought it was badass. I thought it was a good, 2-movie set for the Carpenter Sisters. As much as I think they're a good pair together, they don't necessarily need to have anything after this. Let them go and have their pleasant lives off, like they said Sydney was allowed to have. And I know that they're not brought back because of other issues, because Jenna Ortega was busy with Wednesday and her other commitments, and Melissa Barrera, she made comments that they didn't like. I'm not going into that, but it's at least they were able to get these 2 movies out, and they make sense together. They go really well together, even though they're not like a night 1, night 2 scenario, which usually happens when movies are filmed so close together. They feel like they take place a couple years apart. I wish they almost said they took place a couple years apart, because it would have given more time for the stories to breathe and for them to make sense of how this could have all been organized. For them to organize the clandestine Richie Kirsch revenge tour operation within like a couple months and then get it up and running, it's like, and plus for all 3 people to be down with it, it's like, I know your brother got killed, but like there's like 1 out of every 1,000,000 or 1 out of every 1,000 people is a serial killer. So now it's like 4 in one family are going to be serial. Like and 3 of them weren't until the 1 was killed. Like something about it is just, it's a little too much for me to take. But having said that, I really think it's a badass movie. I give it a lot of credit for doing it without Sydney. I like the fact that it was in New York. They do a good job of showing, New York they don't just go around showing all landmarks and stuff. It's pretty cool with the thing that they do show. It seems like, it almost seems like an episode of, CSI or something. And yeah, but my final points at the end are, by the end, we kind of forget about Chad. It's been like 20 minutes since we saw him stabbed. They easily could have killed him and, had him out of the series if they wanted to. So clearly they want him back. At this point, you wonder if they're ever going to be able to kill off Chad or Mindy, because if they're not dead now, when are they going to be? But that'll leave us something to watch for next week. Other than that, I thought this was a badass movie. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Please leave a like and a subscribe on the video if you can. And I'll talk to you next time. I will be doing a spoiler-free preview of Scream 7. So that's coming up, as well as a couple Stranger Things videos a couple humorous Stranger Things videos I've been working on. So I'll talk to you later. Take care.